The security guard handed me a cardboard box filled with my desk belongings. "I'm sorry, Miss Chloe," he whispered as we walked toward the elevator. I'd just been fired from my high-paying tech job at Nexus Technologies, and I still couldn't process why. 3 years of perfect performance reviews, and suddenly I was being let go for restructuring. I knew it was politics. My new boss wanted his own people. The elevator doors closed, and I stared at my reflection in the polished metal. 31 years old, unemployed, and about to meet my ex-fiancé for lunch. Perfect timing. I'd scheduled this meeting with Ethan days ago, back when I still had a job. Back when I thought we could have a civil conversation about returning each other's things. Now I'd have to tell him I'd been fired. My stomach twisted as I walked to the cafe. Ethan was already there, sitting at an outdoor table, scrolling through his phone. When he saw me approaching with the box, his eyebrows raised. Then, to my absolute horror, he started laughing. "No way," Ethan said, his laughter growing louder. Other diners turned to look. "You got fired?" "Oh, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect." My face burned with humiliation. I set the box down carefully, trying to maintain some dignity. "I didn't come here to be mocked, Ethan. I came to—" "You're finally out of my league now," he interrupted, leaning back in his chair with a satisfied smile. "I mean, you were barely keeping up when we were together, but now? Wow. I really dodged a bullet by dumping you." His words stung more than I wanted to admit. We'd been engaged for 2 years before he'd suddenly called it off 6 months ago, claiming he needed to focus on his career. Now I understood, he just wanted someone more successful. Someone who made him look good. "You know what the funny thing is?" Ethan continued, his eyes gleaming with cruel amusement. "I actually felt bad about breaking up with you. But look at you now. Unemployed. Probably can't even afford this coffee." He gestured dismissively at my cup. I wanted to throw it in his face. Instead, I took a deep breath, remembering why I'd really come. "I just need to get my grandmother's necklace back," I said quietly. "The one I left at your apartment." Ethan waved his hand dismissively. "Yeah, sure, whatever. But seriously, Chloe, what are you going to do now? Wait tables?" Then his eyes dropped to my hand. My right hand, specifically. I was still wearing the cheap silver ring he'd given me after we broke up. It wasn't an engagement ring, that had gone back immediately. No, this was something crueler. A week after our breakup, he'd shown up at my door with this thin silver band, a friendship ring, he'd called it. "So you don't forget me," he'd said with a smile that now seemed sinister. I'd worn it out of some misguided hope that we might reconcile. Now, looking at his mocking expression, I realized what it really was, a collar. A way to keep me attached to him while he moved on. "Oh my God, you're still wearing that?" Ethan reached across the table and snatched my hand. Before I could pull away, he'd twisted the ring off my finger. "Here," he said, tossing it onto the table between us. "Sell it for bus fare. You're going to need it." I left the cafe without another word, the silver ring still lying on the table. Let him keep it. Let him keep everything. I drove home in a daze, Ethan's laughter still echoing in my ears. But as I pulled into my apartment building's parking lot, something shifted inside me. The humiliation began to crystallize into something harder. Something colder. Ethan thought he knew me. He thought he knew everything about my life, my work, my worth. But he didn't know about the patents. Before I'd taken the corporate job at Nexus Technologies, I'd been working with my best friend, Kayla, on a medical device prototype. It was revolutionary. A non-invasive glucose monitoring system that could change diabetes management forever. We'd filed the patents quietly, keeping everything under the radar while I'd earned a stable income at Nexus. Ethan had known I was tinkering with something, but he'd always dismissed my little side projects as hobbies. He'd told me to focus on my real career. Now, sitting in my car, I pulled out my phone and checked the secure folder where I kept all the patent documentation. 3 patents, all filed. All valid. All mine and Kayla's. Ethan had no idea I owned something this valuable. And that was about to become his biggest mistake. My phone rang the next morning at 8 a.m. I'd barely slept, still processing everything that had happened. The number was unknown, but something made me answer. Ms. Chloe Harper, a smooth, professional voice asked. Yes? My name is Vincent Castellano. I'm the head of acquisitions for Orion Holdings. We've been tracking your patent portfolio for the past 6 months, and we'd like to discuss an acquisition. I sat up straight in bed, suddenly wide awake. I'm sorry, what? Your glucose monitoring technology, Vincent continued. It's precisely what we've been searching for. We've completed our due diligence, and we're prepared to make you a very substantial offer. Can you meet tomorrow afternoon? Tomorrow. That was impossibly fast. Yes. Yes, I can meet. Excellent. I'll send you the address. And Ms. Harper? This is highly confidential. Please don't discuss this with anyone until after our meeting. After he hung up, I stared at my phone in disbelief. Then I called Kayla, who answered on the first ring. You're not going to believe this, I said. By the time I finished explaining, we were both screaming with excitement. But then my phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. Hey, want to meet up? Maybe we can talk about your job situation. I might know someone who's hiring. I smiled coldly. He wanted to gauge how desperate I was. Time to play along. Sure, I texted back. That would be great. I'm already interviewing for an assistant position, but I'd love any help. Let him think I was aiming low. Let him think he'd won. The next afternoon, I walked into the most intimidating office building I'd ever seen. Orion Holdings occupied the top 15 floors of a skyscraper downtown. Vincent Castellano met me in a private conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. He was in his 50s, impeccably dressed, with the kind of calm confidence that came from making billion-dollar decisions. Thank you for coming, Ms. Harper, he said, gesturing to a chair. Before we discuss anything, I need you to sign this. He slid a thick document across the table. It's a non-disclosure agreement. What we're about to discuss is extremely sensitive. This acquisition, if it proceeds, will be kept completely confidential until the deal closes. You cannot tell anyone, not family, not friends, not legal counsel outside of our provided team. I read through the NDA carefully. It was ironclad. If I violated it, I'd face millions in penalties. Why so much secrecy? I asked. Vincent's expression remained neutral. Let's just say that certain government agencies are very interested in your technology. Medical innovations of this caliber attract attention. We need to control the narrative. I signed the document with slightly shaking hands. Whatever was about to happen, it was bigger than I'd imagined. That evening, I met Kayla for dinner at a quiet restaurant. I couldn't tell her about the meeting, the NDA prevented that, but I needed to see a friendly face. You seem different, Kayla observed, studying me over her wine glass. More. I don't know. Focused. Just thinking about the future, I said carefully. Oh, speaking of futures, Kayla leaned forward, lowering her voice. I heard something interesting today. You know my cousin works at that venture capital firm downtown? I nodded. Well, apparently Ethan's company is in serious trouble. Like, bankruptcy-level trouble. He's been trying to find investors for months, but nobody wants to touch it. Bad management, worse financials. I absorbed this information slowly. Ethan's company. The one he'd been so proud of when we were together. The one he'd used as an excuse to break up with me because he needed to focus. How bad is it? I asked. He's apparently weeks away from foreclosure. My cousin said he's getting desperate, reaching out to anyone with money. I thought about Ethan's laughter yesterday. His cruelty. His absolute certainty that he was better than me. All of it had been a mask for his own failures. For the first time since he'd dumped me, I felt something other than pain. I felt power. Vincent called me back to Orion Holdings 3 days later. This time, he wasn't alone. 5 other people sat around the conference table: lawyers, medical consultants, financial advisors. They spent 2 hours walking me through every aspect of my patents, asking technical questions, reviewing documentation. Finally, Vincent dismissed everyone except his head lawyer. "Ms. Harper," he said, sliding a folder across the table. "After extensive evaluation, Orion Holdings would like to acquire your complete patent portfolio." My hands trembled slightly as I opened the folder. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a number at the bottom. $500 million. I stopped breathing. "That's 500 million, Vincent clarified, as if I might have miscounted the zeros. 400 million now, 100 million in performance bonuses as the technology is developed and deployed. You and your partner would split it according to your ownership agreement. 400 million. Divided by 2. $200 million. For me. Right now. I need to call Kayla," I managed to say. "Of course. Take your time." I stepped out into the hallway and called her with shaking fingers. When I told her the number, she started crying. "Are you serious? Chloe, are you actually serious right now?" "I'm serious. They want to close next week." We both cried. Then we laughed. Then we cried again. I signed the acquisition papers on a Tuesday morning. The wire transfer hit my account 6 hours later. I watched my banking app refresh, and suddenly there it was, $200 million. I was a multi-millionaire. No, I was worth a fortune. And Ethan had no idea. That afternoon, Vincent called me again. "Ms. Harper, I wanted to personally congratulate you. You've made an excellent decision. As a gesture of goodwill, Orion Holdings would like to offer you access to one of our corporate assets while you transition into your new financial situation." "What kind of asset?" I asked. "We maintain several luxury properties and vehicles for client relations. There's a yacht currently docked in Miami that's available for your use. Consider it a welcome gift." He sent me a photo an hour later. The yacht was magnificent, 120 feet of gleaming white perfection, with multiple decks and floor-to-ceiling windows. It looked like something from a movie. "The yacht is called Meridian," Vincent wrote. "Feel free to visit anytime." I stared at the photo for a long time. Then I thought about Ethan. About his laughter. About the ring he'd thrown at me. About how he'd made me feel worthless. And slowly, a plan began to form. If you're enjoying this story of ultimate revenge, hit that subscribe button. You won't believe what happens next. I ran into Ethan at the grocery store 2 days later. I was shopping for basics, still processing my new reality, when I heard his voice behind me. "Chloe? Oh wow, this is perfect." I turned around. Ethan was standing there with a shopping cart, a smug smile on his face. "Buying store-brand beans now?" He gestured at my cart. "That's rough. But hey, that's what happens when you lose your job, right?" Other shoppers were starting to notice. Ethan didn't care. "You know, I've been thinking about you," he continued, speaking loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Wondering how you're surviving. Unemployment doesn't pay much, does it?" I had $200 million in my bank account. I owned a portfolio of patents that would change medicine. I had access to a yacht in Miami. And this man was mocking me for buying beans. "I'm doing fine, Ethan," I said calmly. That's good," he nodded condescendingly. "Listen, if you need help, financially, you can always ask. Maybe I could loan you some money. Not a lot, but enough to get by." The audacity was breathtaking. According to Kayla, he was weeks from bankruptcy. But here he was, offering to loan me money. "That's very kind," I said, my voice steady. "But I don't think I'll need it." Sure, he laughed. "Well, pride won't pay your rent, Chloe. Just keep that in mind." I watched him walk away, still laughing to himself. Soon, I thought. Very soon. I booked a flight to Miami that night. The plane left at 6 a.m., and I arrived in Florida by noon. I took an Uber straight to the marina where the yacht was docked. The captain, a professional named William, was expecting me. "Ms. Harper, welcome to Meridian," he said, helping me aboard. The yacht was even more incredible in person. Marble floors, leather furniture, a full bar, and a master suite that looked like a five-star hotel. I walked out onto the upper deck and stood at the railing, looking out at the endless blue water. The sun was warm, the breeze was perfect, and I was standing on a yacht worth more than most people earned in their lifetimes. I pulled out my phone and carefully positioned myself. The yacht stretched out behind me, gleaming and white and undeniably expensive. I held up my left hand, making sure my empty ring finger was visible. But I'd brought something with me, a temporary ring I'd bought at the airport, a large cubic zirconia that looked real enough in photos. I slipped it on and positioned my hand so the diamond caught the light. William took several photos for me, and I reviewed them carefully. Perfect. The yacht. The ring. The message. "Not bad for being unemployed," I typed as the caption. Then I opened Ethan's contact and attached the photo in a private message. "Hope you're having a good week," I wrote. Then I turned off my phone. I gave myself 3 hours. 3 hours of peace, of sitting on the yacht's deck, of drinking champagne that probably cost more than Ethan's rent. 3 hours of imagining his face when he opened that message. I'd sent it through an encrypted messaging app, one that showed when someone viewed a message. At 2:15 p.m., the read receipt appeared. Ethan had seen it. I smiled and poured myself another glass of champagne. I didn't turn my phone back on until 5 p.m. When I did, it exploded with notifications. 27 missed calls from Ethan. 15 text messages. 3 voicemails. I listened to the voicemails first. The first one, sent at 2:16 p.m. "Chloe, what the hell? Where are you? Whose yacht is that?" His voice was confused, maybe a little amused. The second one, sent at 3:30 p.m. "Seriously, Chloe, call me back. Where did you get that picture? Are you dating someone? Is that real?" His voice had changed. There was an edge to it now. Worry. Maybe fear. The third voicemail, sent at 4:45 p.m. "Chloe, please call me. I need to know what's going on. Is that your yacht? Where did you get the money? Please, just call me back. Please." He sounded desperate. Panicked. Exactly how I'd felt sitting across from him at that cafe. I didn't call him back. The text messages were even better. They started casual, "Nice photo. Whose boat?" Then they got more insistent. "Chloe, seriously, where are you? This isn't funny. Are you dating someone rich? Did you borrow that yacht for a photo?" And finally, desperately, "Please tell me what's going on. I'm worried about you." I almost laughed at that last one. He was worried. Not about me, about what my success might mean for him. I typed out a reply, just taking some time for myself. "Beautiful day here in Miami." Then I added a sun emoji and hit send. His response came in seconds. "Miami? You flew to Miami? How can you afford that? I thought you lost your job." "I did," I wrote back. Life's full of surprises. I watched the typing indicator appear and disappear several times. He was trying to figure out what to say. How to ask without looking desperate. Finally, "Can we talk? Maybe get coffee tomorrow?" "I'm in Miami," I reminded him. "When are you back?" "Not sure. A few days maybe. More typing indicators. This was killing him. That yacht, he finally wrote. Is it yours? I waited 5 full minutes before responding with just a winking emoji. Let him sweat. Let him wonder. Let him feel one fraction of the confusion and pain he'd caused me. My phone rang again the next morning. This time it wasn't Ethan, it was an old high school friend named Brianna. She worked in financial journalism, and we'd stayed loosely in touch over the years. Chloe Harper, you dark horse, she said when I answered. What are you talking about? I'm hearing rumors that you're involved in something big. Like, really big. My heart skipped. Where are you hearing that? I can't reveal my sources, but let's just say someone leaked that there's a major medical technology acquisition happening, and your name came up. Is it true? The NDA. I had to be careful. Brianna, I really can't comment on anything like that. If there were something happening, I'd be legally prohibited from discussing it. So there is something happening, she said excitedly. Off the record, is it huge? No comment, I said, but I was smiling. Well, congratulations on whatever mysterious success you're having, Brianna laughed. Oh, and speaking of success stories, or lack thereof. I heard Ethan Sullivan's company is about to go under. You dodged a bullet there. What do you mean? His startup is being quietly auctioned off. Creditors are circling. I heard he's got maybe 2 weeks before foreclosure. Someone's going to buy it for pennies on the dollar. An idea struck me. A terrible, beautiful, perfect idea. Brianna, who would I talk to if I wanted to acquire a company? You mean like buy it? Yes. She was quiet for a moment. Are you serious? Completely serious. Then you'd want to talk to an acquisition specialist. Someone who handles distressed assets. Why? What are you thinking? I called Vincent Castellano that afternoon. Vincent, I need a favor. A big one. Name it, he said. There's a company here in the city called Sullivan Technologies. It's small, struggling, and about to be auctioned off by creditors. I want to buy it. There was a pause. May I ask why? Personal reasons. Very personal. I see. Vincent's tone changed slightly. And you want this acquisition done quietly? Anonymously, if possible. At least until the sale is finalized. That can be arranged. Give me 24 hours to review the company's financials and legal situation. If it's viable, we'll make it happen. Vincent? Yes? I want to buy it for the minimum amount needed to clear his debts. Nothing more. And I want him kept in the dark about who's buying it until the very end. Vincent chuckled. Now it makes sense. I'll handle it personally. He called me back the next day. Sullivan Technologies is in worse shape than we thought. The owner has been making terrible decisions for years. The company's only real asset is its client list, and even that's deteriorating. We can acquire it for $300,000. $300,000. Less than what Ethan probably spent on his car. Do it, I said. Consider it done. The sale will finalize on Friday evening. Monday morning, there will be a mandatory board meeting. As the new owner, you'll need to attend. Oh, I'll be there, I promised. Ethan showed up at my apartment on Thursday evening. I hadn't told him I was back from Miami, but apparently he'd been watching. I opened the door to find him standing in my hallway, looking disheveled and desperate. His usually perfect hair was messy, and he had dark circles under his eyes. We need to talk, he said without preamble. About what? I asked, leaning against the doorframe and not inviting him in. About that yacht. About where you've been. About what's going on with you. He ran his hand through his hair. Chloe, I know I wasn't great when we broke up. And maybe I was harsh at the cafe. But I care about you, and I'm worried. Worried about what? About who you're involved with. That yacht, that ring, someone's using you. Rich guys don't just give women access to yachts without expecting something in return. The audacity was stunning. What if I told you the yacht was mine? I said calmly. Ethan laughed, but it was nervous. Come on, Chloe. You lost your job. You don't have yacht money. You'd be surprised what I have, Ethan. Then help me understand. Please. I need. He trailed off, realizing he was about to say too much. You need what? I prompted. I need to meet him. The guy you're with. Maybe he's looking for investment opportunities. My company is. Your company is failing, I finished for him. Ethan's face went pale. How do you know that? I have friends in finance. They talk. I watched him carefully. Why? Is it true? He deflated like a balloon. All the arrogance, all the cruelty, all the superiority, it drained away, leaving just a desperate man with a failing business. I'm in trouble, he admitted quietly. Real trouble. I need an investor, or I'm going to lose everything. The banks won't help anymore. Nobody will. That's tough, I said, my voice neutral. Look, I know I screwed up with you. I know I was awful. But please, if you're dating someone wealthy, just introduce us. Give me one chance to save my company. I'll do anything. Anything. I let the word hang in the air between us. I can't introduce you to anyone, I said finally. Why not? Because there's no one to introduce you to. The yacht is complicated, I interrupted. But I'll tell you what. If you get a buyout offer, take it. Even if it's low. Take whatever they give you and walk away. That's my advice. A buyout? He looked confused. I haven't had any offers. You will, I said cryptically. When you do, take it. Trust me on this. Chloe, what do you know? I know that sometimes the best thing you can do is surrender gracefully. Before things get worse. I started to close the door. Wait, Ethan grabbed the door. Can we at least have dinner? Talk things through? I miss you. I looked at him, really looked at him. This was the man I'd almost married. The man I'd thought I'd spend my life with. And now all I felt was cold satisfaction. Goodbye, Ethan, I said, and closed the door in his face. Vincent called me on Friday at 6 p.m. It's done. Sullivan Technologies is officially owned by Cascade Holdings, that's one of our shell companies. The acquisition closed an hour ago. Ethan Sullivan was notified by his bank that his debts have been cleared and his company has been sold. How did he react? According to our contact at his bank, he cried. I felt a pang of something, not quite guilt, but close. Then I remembered the cafe. The laughter. The ring thrown on the table. The pang disappeared. The board meeting has been scheduled for Monday morning at 9 a.m., Vincent continued. All former shareholders and executives have been invited, including Ethan Sullivan. The invitation lists the new CEO's contact as CH, your initials. He won't know it's you until you walk in. Perfect. Chloe, Vincent said carefully. I need to ask, are you sure about this? Acquiring a failing company just for revenge is expensive, even at $300,000. It's also going to be emotionally complicated. I'm sure, I said. This isn't just about revenge. It's about justice. It's about showing him exactly how wrong he was about me. Fair enough. I'll see you Monday morning. I spent the weekend preparing. I bought a power suit, dark navy, perfectly tailored. I practiced what I'd say, how I'd stand, how I'd hold myself. I wasn't just going to be Chloe Harper, the woman he'd dumped. I was going to be Chloe Harper, CEO. The woman who owned his company. The woman who'd won. Ethan received the email Sunday evening. I knew because he called me immediately. I didn't answer, but I listened to the voicemail. Chloe, something weird is happening. My company got bought out, I don't know by who, but they cleared all my debts. They want me at a board meeting Monday morning. The new CEO's initials are CH. Do you know anyone with those initials? Someone with money? He paused. This is crazy, but could it be you? No, that's impossible. You lost your job. But still, call me back. Please. I deleted the voicemail and went to bed early. I needed to be rested for tomorrow. Monday morning, I woke at 5 a.m. I took my time getting ready, hair perfect, makeup flawless, suit impeccable. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. This wasn't the Chloe who'd been fired. This wasn't the Chloe who'd been humiliated at a cafe. This was someone new. Someone powerful. I drove to Sullivan Technologies, a small office building in the business district. It was modest, nothing like Orion Holdings' skyscraper. I parked and sat in my car for a moment, taking deep breaths. Vincent pulled up beside me. Ready? He asked. More than ready, I said. We walked into the building together. The receptionist directed us to the second-floor conference room. Everyone's already here, she said nervously. They're waiting for you. I smiled. Perfect. I could hear voices through the conference room door. Ethan's voice, specifically, anxious and confused. Does anyone know who bought the company? Did anyone see the CEO's name? I nodded to Vincent, and he opened the door. The conference room went silent. 8 people sat around a large mahogany table, former shareholders, the company's CFO, a few executives, and Ethan. They all turned to look at us. Ethan's eyes went to Vincent first, then to me. Confusion flickered across his face. Chloe? What are you doing here? I'm here for the meeting, I said calmly, walking to the head of the table. The CEO's chair. Ethan's old chair. No, are you with him? He gestured at Vincent. Is he the new owner? Not exactly, I said, setting my briefcase on the table. Vincent took a seat to my right, and I remained standing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming on short notice. My name is Chloe Harper, and as of Friday evening, I am the majority owner and new CEO of this company. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. Ethan's face went through several emotions, confusion, disbelief, and then something like horror as the pieces started falling into place. That's impossible, he whispered. You lost your job. You're unemployed. You can't. I was unemployed, I corrected. Past tense. Before I tell you all about the company's future, I think some of you deserve to know how this acquisition was funded. I opened my briefcase and pulled out a document. The patent acquisition agreement from Orion Holdings. This is a $500 million patent acquisition I signed 2 weeks ago. My patents. My technology. My work. I slid the document across the table toward Ethan. His hands shook as he picked it up. He stared at the number, $500,000,000, like it might disappear if he looked away. That's fake, he said weakly. It has to be fake. It's quite real, Vincent interjected smoothly. I handled the acquisition personally. Ms. Harper sold revolutionary medical technology that she and her partner developed independently. The sale closed days after you saw her in the grocery store, Ethan. Ethan looked up at me, his face pale. But, you said you were unemployed. You said you were interviewing for assistant positions. I lied, I said simply. You were so eager to believe I was desperate, it was easy to let you think it. Just like it was easy to let you think I'd never amount to anything. Just like it was easy to let you mock me while I had $200 million in my bank account. 200 million, someone breathed. Split with my business partner, I explained. But yes. While Ethan was laughing at me for buying store-brand beans, I was trying to decide which yacht to visit. The room was completely silent now. Everyone was staring at either me or Ethan. I didn't steal anything, I continued. I didn't cheat anyone. I was just busy. Busy working on something revolutionary while you were busy being cruel. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. Chloe, I'm not finished, I said coldly. I turned to address the entire table. Over the past few days, I've reviewed this company's financials and operations. What I've found is troubling. Years of mismanagement, poor strategic decisions, and a toxic workplace culture have brought Sullivan Technologies to the brink of bankruptcy. Several employees have filed complaints about hostile work environment, complaints that were ignored. I looked directly at Ethan. As the new majority owner, I have some announcements to make. First, this company will be restructuring completely. We'll be bringing in new management, new systems, and a new culture focused on respect and innovation. I paused. Second, effective immediately, Ethan Sullivan's employment with this company is terminated. Ethan stood up so fast his chair fell backward. You can't do that. This is my company. Was your company, I corrected. Now it's mine. And I've decided that your leadership style is incompatible with the direction we're taking. This is revenge, Ethan said desperately. This is just revenge because I broke up with you. No, I said calmly. This is justice. Revenge would be cruel. Justice is just holding you accountable for your actions. You created a hostile workplace. You made terrible business decisions. You treated people as disposable. Those are the reasons you're being terminated. The fact that you were cruel to me personally is just context. I nodded to Vincent, who gestured toward the door. A security guard entered, the same one who'd escorted me out of Nexus Technologies. He recognized me and smiled slightly. Please escort Mr. Sullivan from the building, I instructed. He can keep his car keys. Everything else stays. Ethan looked around the table desperately, searching for support. Nobody met his eyes. The security guard approached him. This isn't over, Ethan said, his voice breaking. I'll sue. I'll fight this. You can't just, I can, I interrupted. And I have. The acquisition is legal. The termination is legal. Everything I've done is completely by the book. You signed the sale agreement yourself when you cleared your debts. He had no response to that. As the security guard guided him toward the door, I reached into my pocket. Ethan, I called. He turned back, his face red and tear-streaked. I pulled out the cheap silver ring, the one he'd thrown at me in the cafe. I'd gone back for it the next day, retrieved it from the cafe's lost and found. Now I walked over to him and dropped it into his jacket pocket. Keep your little bus fare, I said quietly, echoing his words from weeks ago. You're going to need it more than I will. His face crumbled. He opened his mouth to say something, an apology, maybe, or a final insult, but no words came out. The security guard led him away. I watched him go, feeling a strange mix of emotions. Satisfaction, yes. Relief, definitely. But also something else, a kind of closure. This man had made me feel worthless. He'd laughed at my pain, mocked my struggles, and thrown my affection back in my face. And now he knew exactly how wrong he'd been. They say success is the best revenge. But I'd learned something different. Success isn't revenge, it's freedom. Freedom from caring what cruel people think. Freedom from needing validation from those who hurt you. Freedom to build the life you actually want, on your own terms. I smiled at the sunset, raised my glass of champagne, and whispered to myself, "Thank you, Ethan, for showing me exactly who not to be." If this story of triumph and justice inspired you, smash that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment telling me what you would have done with $200 million. Share this with every woman who needs to know that her worth isn't defined by anyone else. Hit the notification bell because my next story is even more incredible. You won't want to miss it. Subscribe now and join a community of strong, unstoppable people who know their value. Thanks for watching.